For years, the rivalry between the Springboks and the All Blacks has produced some of the most unforgettable moments in rugby history. Every meeting between these two giants carries enormous pressure, intense expectation, and global attention. As the latest chapter of this legendary rivalry approaches, much of the spotlight naturally falls on famous names such as Rassie Erasmus, Siya Kolisi, and the star players who will take the field. However, behind the scenes, there is another figure whose influence could prove just as important. That man is Jerry Flannery, the Springboks defense coach whose relentless work ethic and attention to detail have earned the trust of one of rugby's greatest minds. With South Africa preparing to face a dangerous New Zealand side at Ellis Park, many believe that Flannery could play a decisive role in determining who comes out on top in rugby's greatest rivalry. The story of Jerry Flannery is not the story of a coach who seeks attention or headlines. Instead, it is the story of a rugby obsessive who has spent years perfecting every aspect of his craft. Born in Galway, Ireland, Flannery began his rugby journey with Connacht before moving to the province that would define much of his career, Munster. As a player, he became one of Ireland's most respected hookers, winning major honours with Munster and earning 41 caps for Ireland. Yet even during his playing days, there were signs that his future would be in coaching. He was fascinated by the technical side of the game and constantly searched for ways to improve. After retirement, that passion only grew stronger. His commitment to understanding rugby at the deepest level was so remarkable that he even wrote the thesis for his master's degree on the science of line-out throwing. That level of dedication tells you everything about the type of person he is. Former teammates and colleagues often describe Flannery as someone who becomes completely consumed by an idea once it captures his attention. One of those colleagues was former Wales and British and Irish Lions prop Adam Jones, who worked alongside him at Harlequins. According to Jones, Flannery was known for spending countless hours studying lineouts, defensive systems, and tactical details that many others might overlook. There were occasions when friends visited his home expecting a relaxed evening, only to find him still working on rugby analysis long after everyone else had arrived. That relentless pursuit of improvement became one of his defining characteristics. People around him quickly learned that when Flannery focused on a problem, he would not stop until he believed he had found the best possible solution. His coaching journey eventually took him beyond rugby. After completing his studies, he joined Arsenal Football Club on a work placement as an academy strength and conditioning coach. It was an unusual move for a former rugby international, but it revealed another side of his personality. Rather than staying within familiar surroundings, Flannery wanted to learn from different sports and different environments. During his time at Arsenal, he studied how elite footballers trained and developed, looking for lessons that could be applied elsewhere. He understood that rugby and football are very different games, but he also believed there were valuable ideas that could be shared between sports. His willingness to learn from every possible source became another reason why he developed such a strong reputation as a coach. Interestingly, his time at Arsenal also produced one of the more unusual stories in his career. A proud supporter of Munster, Flannery once convinced football stars Lucas Podolski, Mesut Ozil, and Santi Cazorla to wear Munster rugby gear and pose with a message of support for the Irish province. It was a light-hearted moment, but it also reflected the passion he carried for the teams and people he represented. After leaving Arsenal, Flannery returned to Munster, where his coaching career truly began to accelerate. He worked first as scrum coach and later as forwards coach, helping develop players while building a reputation for technical excellence. It was during this period that he crossed paths with Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber, two men who would eventually transform South African rugby. When Erasmus arrived at Munster as director of rugby and Nienaber joined as defense coach, they immediately recognized something special about Flannery. They saw a coach who combined intelligence, passion, and an extraordinary work ethic. Even after Erasmus returned to South Africa, he continued to follow Flannery's progress closely. The connection between the two men remained strong because they shared a similar approach to the game. Both valued preparation, detail, and constant innovation. Years later, when the opportunity arose to bring Flannery into the Springboks coaching setup, Erasmus did not hesitate. Before joining South Africa, Flannery enjoyed another successful chapter with English club Harlequins. Arriving during a difficult period, he helped transform the team into Premiership champions. Those who worked with him during that time remember a coach who demanded high standards but also inspired those around him. Former colleagues frequently spoke about the endless hours he invested in preparing training sessions, analyzing opponents, and refining defensive systems. His influence became increasingly visible as Harlequins developed into one of England's most exciting and successful teams. Yet despite the success, Flannery remained focused on improvement rather than recognition. That mindset eventually brought him to the Springboks, where his expertise has become a valuable part of South Africa's coaching structure. His role as defense coach carries enormous responsibility. Modern rugby is often decided by small margins, and defensive organization can be the difference between victory and defeat. The challenge facing Flannery now is particularly significant because the Springboks are preparing to face an All Blacks side filled with attacking talent. New Zealand recently demonstrated their offensive power by scoring heavily against top international opposition, reminding everyone why they remain one of the most dangerous teams in world rugby. Stopping that attack will require discipline, communication, and flawless execution. Those are precisely the areas where Flannery has built his reputation. Last week's narrow victory over Argentina provided another example of his impact. Following the match, Rassie Erasmus publicly praised the defensive effort and highlighted the contribution made by his coaching team. While players often receive the headlines, performances like these are usually the result of countless hours of preparation behind closed doors. Every defensive pattern, every tactical adjustment, and every small detail is carefully planned long before match day arrives. As the countdown to the All Blacks clash continues, that preparation will only intensify. For Flannery, this is exactly the type of challenge he thrives on. Those who know him best believe pressure brings out the best in him. Throughout his career, he has consistently embraced difficult situations and searched for solutions others may have missed. That mindset is one of the reasons Erasmus values him so highly. The Springboks have become known for innovation, adaptability, and meticulous planning, and Flannery fits perfectly within that culture. His journey from Galway to Munster, from Arsenal to Harlequins, and eventually to the Springboks has been shaped by a constant desire to learn and improve. Now, as South Africa prepares for another monumental showdown with New Zealand, he finds himself at the center of one of rugby's biggest stories. While the players will ultimately decide the result on the field, the influence of coaches can never be underestimated. If the Springboks manage to contain the All Blacks and secure a crucial victory, much of the credit may belong to the quiet Irishman working tirelessly behind the scenes. In a rivalry filled with legendary players, iconic moments, and unforgettable battles, Jerry Flannery has emerged as a fascinating figure whose impact could shape the next chapter of rugby history. As fans around the world eagerly await the clash between the Springboks and the All Blacks, one question remains unanswered. Can the defensive mastermind trusted by Rassie Erasmus deliver another tactical masterclass when it matters most? The answer could determine who walks away victorious in rugby's greatest rivalry. For years,